This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, here straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And here we are, just after midnight here. So it's the 15th here, but where my guest is, it's still the 14th. But we both have something in common. We are celebrating the 45th anniversary of Eraserhead. And folks, I have the lovely Charlotte Lewis on, or Charlotte Lewis. I botched that. Charlotte Stewart. Charlotte Lewis is a different person. Charlotte Stewart. I'm sorry about that.
It's quite all right.
Yeah, Charlotte Lewis was in The Golden Child. Well, But anyway, yeah, Eraserhead. Now, David Lynch, interesting filmmaker, because I've interviewed a couple of people out of from the movie Mulholland Drive, which was one of my favorites. Yeah, and so I'm really happy to celebrate the 45th anniversary of this. But before we dive into this, I would like a little bit of your background and how you got into the business, because your career dates right back into the 60s. I mean, you worked with Elvis Presley.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. Yeah, I never really intended to be an actor. I was raised in California on a small farm, peach ranch, and I wasn't a very good student in high school. I had really bad grades.
Probably better grades than me. I used to put 1 and 1 together and get 11.
That was right.
Yeah.
So it was time for me to go to college. All my friends were off to UCLA and Stanford and all those wonderful places, and I didn't have the grades. So I saw an advertisement on the back of a magazine called Teen Magazine in 1958, and it talked about the Pasadena Playhouse. It was the State Theater of California. It was down in Pasadena, out of LA, and so I sent away for an application, and I got accepted. I guess they don't care about grades there. And then I told my parents that I'd been accepted to a college in Pasadena, and they were just like, "What?" At my dad, and we jumped in the car. We drove to Pasadena, and as it turns out, she was very impressed with the college. It was a beautiful 7-story building in downtown Pasadena. It had class. You go to school all day long, and then every night you do a play, or you work backstage at a play, or you do. So about 20 hours of the day, you're involved in theater. So I was there for 3 years, and I was acceptable. I mean, I got some good leads in plays and stuff. But I got an audition for a very low budget movie and called Damaged Goods.
Okay.
Anyway, I got an agent through that, and she got me an interview for the Loretta Young show, which, if you're familiar with Loretta Young, she was a huge movie star in the 40s and 50s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And she had her own television show every Sunday night called the Loretta Young Show. And it was a different show every week. It wasn't like a series. It was set aside story, hour-long document, acting. And I got a part playing her daughter in one episode. She wasn't in every episode. My first job. And started working on all kinds of television. My Three Sons, Margie, Father, FBI, Medical Center, Bonanza, Gunsmoke. I just worked nonstop until the early 70s, when I was living in, have you heard of Topanga Canyon down in LA?
Yeah.
Topanga Canyon, my roommate was volunteering at the American Film Institute. And she was assigned to Jack Fisk, who was the art director on Eraserhead.
Yeah, Sissy Spacek's future husband.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So she heard that David Lynch was looking for someone to play Mary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he said, "My roommate's an actress." So David Lynch and his wife Peggy came to dinner in Topanga to our house, and he brought me the script for Eraserhead. I mean, it was this thick.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't read it, but I said, of course I'll do it. I had done a lot of student films, and usually you never heard from them again, ever.
Mm-hmm. So
I said, well, of course I'll do it. And when do you want to start? I thought this was going to be like 5 or 6 days. It was 7 months. And by that time, I had been cast in Little House on the Prairie.
Mm-hmm.
So I was Little House in the Prairie from 6 a.m. to 5. And then if he was shooting that night, I would go shoot all night long at the American Film Institute, and then come in the next morning at 6 a.m. One day I was cast in the Waltons, which was their first one on the air, the Waltons.
Mm-hmm.
And I all night long with David Lynch, ran back to a friend's apartment, changed my clothes, washed my face, and got to the studio at 6 in the morning to do the Waltons. I was a blithering idiot. I was so tired. It was just, it's like I am now. I've been on the road for 7 days. I just got home last night, and I slept 11 hours last night. I was so
nice.
So the Waltons, and then at the same time I was doing Little House on the Prairie. So they signed a contract for 4 years
Mm-hmm.
on Little, and I was free to do other stuff if it didn't interfere with the schedule. I was signed to do 7 out of 14 episodes, and then they would do another 14. I do 7 more.
Mm-hmm.
But I checked the shooting schedule, to accept anything else, which I did. I did a couple other things, but Eraserhead, I was just so shocked when it opened, because it seemed like it was never going to be released. Couldn't tell. And I'll tell you more about the shooting of it, because I know that's what you're interested in, right?
I actually want to know first, what was your reaction when you read the script?
I didn't get it at all.
I bet.
But my philosophy about working with filmmakers, it's their movie,
Mm-hmm.
and you do what they say. So, of course I learned my lines,
Mm-hmm.
but strange thing David Lynch asked me to do as Mary, either with the baby or with Henry, or jumping under the bed and grabbing my suitcase 14 times before I could get it out.
Mm-hmm.
They keep going on.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't question him. And then when it won Best Film at the, I don't know, I forget what film award it was, but that was the first thing he applied it to, that offered it, and it won Best Film. And I was like, what? What? I got the film, but I had a really nice time working on it. It was strange, but it was good strange. I knew I was going to have to wait and see it put together, edited, before I would understand it. And maybe I still didn't understand it, but it was okay. A lot of people liked it. In fact, in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
screened it at this theater downtown Chicago, and I got a standing ovation.
You deserved it.
It was amazing. Somebody took a picture of me standing in front of the crowd. It was a 400-seat theater, and it was packed. And I'm standing in front of it with my arms spread. Static. I couldn't believe it. And they're all, cheering. It was amazing. So I'm very lucky. I just get put in the right place at the right time.
I think David Lynch is very innovative. Besides the Eraserhead, I love Mulholland Drive a lot. Wow, and I could go on. I think The Straight Story might be the most normal thing he's done, when it comes right down to it. But I love his films, and and he's done very well for himself, and I love it when filmmakers are able to make you question what this is all about, but yet on a second viewing, like what are the underlining tones to the movie, and you dig deeper. I like that.
Go a lot. You could do a lot of that with David's work. I don't think you have to dig too deep. My philosophy is you just sit back and let it wash over you. You don't go, you do that, or wasn't that nuts? Whatever. A lot of the beginning of Twin Peaks, the very strange beginning of Twin Peaks, with the guy in the movie theater watching a screen that has nothing on it, and he just paid to sit there and watch this big screen, and then a girl comes in and brings him a glass of wine or something, and they start making out, and all of a sudden something jumps out of the screen at him, eats him, or whatever it was. I was so stunned by that. I didn't get it, but it kind of set the tone for Twin Peaks. It was very strange. You don't try to figure it out. You absorb it and let it wash over you. And I think that's a secret of any David Lynch film. There's so much underlying. And if you just sit there and figure it out, you're going to miss the movie.
Yep. Tell me, do you still eat little tiny chickens?
Only when my husband cooks them. No, that was our first night of shooting, was the dinner scene.
Yeah.
First experience with David Lynch directing was the dinner, when Henry comes to Mary's house and she goes into some kind of fit, and her mother's trying to distract it by brushing her hair, and then we sit down and Dad's there. Well, we got chicken tonight.
He has that whole thing with his knees and
with his knees, yeah. And then Henry trying to cut the little chickens. And of course, David made all that. David made the little chickens. He made the lady in the radiator. That's why it took like 6 months to shoot, because we only shot at night. I would arrive there about 11 o'clock at night. One of the reasons we did that, in the beginning, it wasn't always at night, but then David had, he was using 35 millimeter black and white film, and he had used so much film that the Institute stopped supplying it. And he asked him, I don't know if they asked him to leave, but they wouldn't let him shoot there anymore. So he moved over to the garage that used to be the servants' quarters of this big estate. And Sissy Spacek paid for the black and white film from then on.
Oh.
Film use. Interesting. His sister-in-law had to pay for the rest of the film. And Jack Fisk. And we were there a long time. Jack Nance much longer than me. But by that time, I had started Little House on the Prairie, so I was going back and forth at the time. It was very odd.
It's interesting you mentioned Jack Nance, because I just the other day interviewed Bobby Logan, who directed Meatballs 4, and that had Jack Nance in it, and he talked about working with Jack, and Jack, of course, no longer with us, and of course, look at that style, that hairstyle he's sporting there.
That was actually his wife, Catherine Colson's idea.
Yeah.
And she did combed his hair every day, so it stood straight up. Catherine was camera assistant. Catherine Colson.
No.
log lady on Twin Peaks.
Okay.
And she did the hair for, I mean, she was camera assistant, but she was his wife. And so I guess maybe David Lynch said, maybe we can do something else with his hair. And she created that Henry, you know, the sticking straight up. But yeah, Catherine went on to be a person on a lot of films. And then David invited her back to be the log lady on Twin Peaks.
Okay.
Do that what?
What were your memories working with Jack Nance? Because this was really quite an interesting character.
Well, he was an interesting character. I had never met him before.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I didn't really know him. I didn't, you know, because he and Catherine were married, and you know, I was working on Little House on the Prairie, so I didn't see him until much later. Our lives did we connect again through weeks, and by that time, Jack had been in some recovery program. I was in a recovery program for alcoholism, and gone through, and he had no place to live. So I offered him to move into my house. I had a house companion, and no, North Hollywood, and my roommate had moved out to get married, and so I had an extra bedroom. So I invited him to come live with me. So that's where we really became friends. Was when Jack moved into my house, and then met Kelly, and got married to Kelly, and you know. But yeah, we became very close friends. I was very protective of Jack because he was very kind of vulnerable and, you know, funny. He was very funny. So while we were doing Twin Peaks, he was at my house.
Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of interesting effects work. I mean, you mentioned the lady in the radiator, and of course that very unique baby in the film.
Yeah, I can't talk about the baby.
Why not? Huh?
They said I'm not allowed to talk about the baby or describe the baby or how it worked or anything. So I'm sorry, I can't do that, but I'm under lock and key to David Lynch.
Ah, that's okay. It was still interesting, you know. Again, one of those things you just that's okay. I respect that. David Lynch is an interesting, mysterious filmmaker, so I respect that. I don't mind that.
Had a rule with everybody on the set. Nobody was allowed to talk about, you know, what it was or how it worked. But I'll tell you this much: it was a real baby to me.
Okay.
At it, you know, you saw scenes where I had to feed it, and it was really not a very, you know, it was a very cranky baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it infuriated me a lot as Mary. And in fact, I walked out. As I grabbed my suitcase out from under the bed, and I said, "You take care of that," and left Henry sitting there in bed, wondering how in the hell he was going to take care of this weird child. Unfortunately, never saw. We called him Spike. We never saw.
Yeah.
Years ago.
What's that?
Really, 45 years ago?
45 years ago, 1977, the year I turned 5.
Oh my God, you poor baby.
Yeah, I'm going to be 50 this year.
I just turned 81.
Oh, I thought you were 39.
I'll always be 39. You know what? I've never gone with that premise. I don't see the.
No, you know what? I'm actually looking forward to turning 50. You know, I'm having the time of my life right now.
I want a big celebration. You got to.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely.
You know who Scott Ryan is?
Do I know who?
Scott Ryan.
No.
Scott Ryan is a big Twin Peaks and David Lynch fan. That's who I was with in Chicago this weekend.
Okay.
David Lynch Festival. It was 5 days, and we had about 400 people 3 times a day. They all came to different movies. They had a different movie 3 times a day of David Lynch. It was a week, and Scott was helping put it together, and he was the MC and all of that. He and his Jen. I just wondered if you knew who he was.
Yeah, I actually don't watch. I don't have television. I just got a Blu-ray player and I watch my movies on it. So I know Twin Peaks is a TV show, but I've never seen it. So what movies did they play for that?
Oh God, all of David Lynch's films, everything.
Oh wow.
Days, 3 times a day, they ran his movies. I was only there for Eraserhead and a part of Twin Peaks, but I wasn't the movie that they ran. It was one that I shot. The Major Briggs and I shot a scene for it, but it got cut out. But they ran a scene that got cut out. So.
Oh wow. Yeah. No, but unique. I love the fact that he's got such creative juices in him, and there's so much. I like it when you can go back and you can look at these films and what goes into them. And of course, you've worked all this time with David Lynch. I'm glad that you see that with various performers and directors. They connect. So that is interesting. From Eraserhead to now, you two are still connected.
Oh, yeah. In fact, for Eraserhead, David had made a cast of my body to do as a special effect in Eraserhead, but it did when he did the whatever it was scene he had written, it didn't work. So he cut it. He didn't do it. He cut it out. But he gave me the body cast. It was my full body from mid thigh up to my neck, naked. He had me come over to his house one day. I came with my roommate because I didn't know David that well, and I didn't know what was going on. But Doreen Small was one of the crew on Eraserhead, and she and I went to his house where he and Peggy lived, and he had a bed, a cot in his back porch, and I stripped naked, and he covered my body with moulage, which you get detail, and then he did plaster of Paris over that. And then I had to lay there while it dried. It's about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And then he and Doreen dug it off my body, and it was supposed to be used in a special effect where Mary is thrashing around in bed and tries to push on her stomach and breaks into a pit of fetuses. That was, well, it didn't work out. It didn't work. So he gave me the cast with the big hole in the stomach. And I had it for, 45 years, 40 something years. And somebody wanted to buy it. So I offered it back to David because it was his. He gave it to me off the movie. So I called him up and I said, David, I've had this for 4 years and it's kind of time to move it around. And I want to give it back to you. I'll ship it back to you. And he said, no, that's yours. And I said, but David, can I sell it? I would like to put it on for auction or something. And he said, no, I want you to talk to my agent about that. So his agent called me and said, David would like to offer you $25,000 for the body cast. I said, but I offered it to him for free. He said, nope, that's the only way he'll take it. I went, okay. And then I wrapped it in a blanket. We drove to LA. We went to David's house and we handed it over. And they sent me a check for $25,000.
Wow. What is David Lynch like?
I just told you what he's like.
No, but I mean, like you get this persona from his movies, but I mean, like on a person-to-person detail, like the way we're talking now.
Yeah, well, okay, he's very funny. extremely bright. He's very interesting. I mean, when he's not making movies, he has a wood shop in his house, actually in his garage, when I was there that day, he was making a nightstand for his bedroom.
Okay.
Piece of, furniture. I mean, a piece of furniture, beautiful hardwood with a pull-out drawer, and he was working on when I was there. So
wow.
I don't know much about him,
I wonder where he comes up with his ideas, because I tell you,
meditate.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he's got ideas. I love that.
Yeah, he meditates a lot. In fact, there's several shows, several recordings, or I don't know what you call it, films or things. Maybe you can go online and look up David Lynch meditation. And because there was a whole movie at this theater this weekend, David talking about meditation and how important it was for the creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I did not go in and watch it because I was tired, but yeah, he has a whole feature film about meditation. So you look at.
And another thing, we mentioned Jack Fix earlier. He also appears in Eraserhead as well. But rare do you see him on screen.
He's the man in the planet that pulls the gears that sent the fetus into Henry, and that's how Mary gets pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's interesting. It's rare because I know he's a set decorator and whatnot. He married well. I mean, still with Sissy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Sure. I'll just pause it for a minute.
For just a minute. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll be right there.
There we are. There we go.
Right
what's
in
that?
the middle. It says the meeting is being recorded by the host. How do I get that off so I can see you?
I don't know. I can see you.
I can see me way up in the corner, but this little meeting sign is right in the middle of the screen.
Ah.
Never mind. As long as you can see me.
Yeah. It's recording anyway, I used to do these at the station, but whenever lockdown happened, I couldn't have access, and one of my guests had suggested Zoom, and I'm like, this is so much more convenient right out of my apartment, so much easier. Yeah. But anyway, I wanted to ask you,
what else do you want to know?
I wanted to ask you about a few other films, because you're also part of the Tremors franchise as well, which is very popular.
I did the first one, Tremors,
Mm-hmm.
and then the third one that's called Back to Perfection. That was 10 years after the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of fun. We were in the high desert outside of Los Angeles for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, and Michael Gross, and Reba McEntire. And we really, 6 weeks on a location, which I could have gone back and forth. I could have gone home on the weekends or something, but there was something very relaxing about being in the high desert.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful. And I was with all these fabulously fun people. And, because of the nature of the movie, we're all like this every day. We're in and together all the time. And the fact that many people got along, was great. And it was wonderful. I met Kira Sedgwick. He came up on one weekend, and she was 9 months pregnant. And we all went out dancing that night. We're in this little tiny town that was about 4 blocks long, 2 motels and 1 bar and 1 restaurant and stuff. So Saturday night when we were done, because we were off on Sunday, we would go out dancing. And you should have seen Kira Sedgwick, 9 months pregnant, dancing with her husband. It was hysterical. It was great. Kevin is such a good dancer.
Oh yeah, his feet are loose.
Then maybe I'll go to the next town and go to a rodeo. or do something together. It was really fun. It was nice being, with that many people and just liking them, really get. And then I ran into the producer 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Said, Charlotte, you want to do another Tremors? I said, yeah. By this time, my daughter, not my real daughter, but in the movie, my daughter, the actress Ariana Richards, was now 21 years old. Beautiful, blonde. So
Well,
they brought us.
She survived Jurassic Park, so now she had to survive Tremors.
And it was that was another way to be part of the family, because it was then it was just Michael Gross, Fred Warden, and what's his name?
Kevin Bacon.
It's been a long day. It's been a very long.
You mentioned Reba McEntire. Did she sing?
No, not with us. No, she actually. He was just an actor on that. But she did have to leave for 3 days. She had a concert to do or something to do. Came back and brought me one of her coat, one of her jackets with Reba all the way across the back. A little gift from her tour. But she was only gone like 3 days because she was in everything too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How to hit her mark.
Yes, absolutely.
Huh? What that means to hit your mark?
Yep, I know what it means.
I taught her how to, without looking for it. You have to know how to find your mark that's on the ground without looking around for it or looking at it. You have to pretend you see it, and you see it out of the corner of your eye.
I got to ask about some of the people in some of the other films, like Speedway. You have Elvis Presley and Nancy Sinatra. Talk about that experience.
It was fabulous. I mean, I was 24 years old. I was just married. My husband, I don't know if you know, I was married to Jim Considine, my three sons. Just passed.
You know what? I've interviewed Stanley Livingston from My Three Sons.
In 2 weeks, we're going to be in Marshville, Missouri together.
Yeah. I had him on in 2017. What a nice guy.
Great guy.
Yep.
I like Stanley. We were talking on the phone for a while. Anyway, forget what I was saying. Oh, Elvis Presley. 24 years old. Of course, I was so impressed that I'm going to work with him. And so, I mean, and he was very, when I got, it barely produced, and then they said, okay, I was the waitress at the diner, and I had to walk over and take his order in the car. And my husband is studying to be a nurse, and we never get to go out. And I was crying, because Elvis was buying all this stuff for his girlfriend and all. Anyway, it's very corny scene. It was actually really bad. But and they had to align everything for the scene. So Elvis walks over and gets in his chair, and he snaps his fingers. He says, can I get another chair over here? So he brought out another, set it down with him. And he took my hand and he told me about his mother, Gladys, about what it was like when he was in the army in Germany, and she was all worried, and then she got ill, and they wouldn't let him go home to visit her. And all I could think of was, shit, Elvis Presley is holding my hand.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's funny?
That is awesome.
It's a very sad story, and I can think all I could think of myself. He was so sweet. He was very sweet. And then we finished the scene. I came back the next day, and I didn't have a scene with him. They shot it separately because we were on the telephone. So I see him that day. But yeah, it was I was very thrilled to be working with Elvis Presley.
Wow, that is a wonderful story too. And you got to work in the Cheyenne Social Club. You get to work with James Is this one the one with James Stewart and Henry Fonda, Shirley Jones? You had quite the company in that film.
And in the scene that we did, it was all in the bar. I was the only woman in the bar. All the other women in the movie were whores, and they were all in the whorehouse. I was in the bar. I was the only woman in the set for that whole thing with all those cowboys and Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda. And you know, that was another wild experience to say, you know, I think by that time, like 20 or something like that. And I was the only woman in that part of the movie. And it was just amazing. In fact, I was the waitress. I had to carry these big trays of food. And I was serving his dinner. And the way the set was built, I had to come around a corner from the kitchen with the tray on my shoulder. And I whipped around the corner and the chicken went flying on the floor. They had to reshoot the whole thing. I was so excited that I could whip it around the room and the chicken went flying off. He was very sweet. He had his trailer, his dressing room was in a trailer, and it was inside the sound stage at Goldwyn Studios. And he would sit on the steps of his trailer and play the accordion all day for us. Play the accordion.
Oh, and that is nice. Yeah, you had some really good company in that film. That's amazing, you know. And speaking of good company, Buddy, you got to work with one of the best pairings ever with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. I love those two guys.
I know, but I didn't really work with them.
Ah.
Was in the movie. I walked in, I was a nurse. I walked in holding a baby and they saw it. And no, I never even met them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I used to stand on the side of the stage and watch them work because it was just amazing, you know, to watch, you know, those brilliant actors work. But no, I never even met them. I was just in the movie. Very small.
Well, you're still in a movie with them, though, so that's actually really cool.
Nobody will know. In 50 years, nobody will know that I never even met them.
You never got to meet the grumpy old men. The odd couple. The odd couple who are out to sea. Those two are funny, you know. I'm seeing what other ones you got on here that I wanted to ask you about. And okay. Now, if you had any advice for anybody that wanted to get into acting, what would it be?
Clue. Not a clue.
Not a clue?
I don't have any advice.
No advice.
I've been here over 50 years. No, I've been here over 60 years. I don't know what the clue is. You know, I really don't. It's a whole different set of rules anymore. Everything is on the internet. All the auditions are on the internet. You hardly go into a room of people and read a scene out of a piece of paper ever. Now, all, you know, you got an interview for blah, blah, blah. And I wouldn't have a clue to what anybody, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, we'll study hard and work hard. I haven't the clue.
You know, it's interesting because when this came out, it was all practical effects. Now a lot of it is digital.
Even Tremors was practical. It was not digital. The only thing in Tremors is when the creature bursts through the side of the cliff at the end of the movie and crashes down. Everything else was handheld. When the graboids come up out of the ground, there's a man under the ground in a tunnel putting his hand up like that. It was all physical. So amazing.
Do you ever get to do the conventions?
Oh, that's what I just spent the weekend doing.
Oh, I mean like the fan conventions where you sign autograph. Okay.
The last 7 days doing.
Oh, okay. I thought you were at a screening festival.
Well, I was.
Okay.
It was at a theater where a lot of fans came. No, I was in Missouri last Friday. I arrived in Missouri.
Okay.
Missouri for a Little House on the Prairie and fan festival for 3 days. 4,000 people were there.
Oh, wow.
My table signing pictures and autograph from 9 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. It was at a fairgrounds. Oh yeah, I've done all those things. They fly me to New York. They fly me to Southern California. And I sit there at a table looking across at the cast of the Waltons, which is what I'm going to do in 2 weeks. I'm going to be in Marshfield, Missouri, to do Little House and the Waltons fan thing. Yeah, I do a lot.
I just started doing them in 2017 when one of my guests invited me, and it was like, what an extraordinary feeling, all these dedicated people. Here's a question I ask all my guests that do these. What's the most unique thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Oh, usually it's some kind of toy made as a character. A lot of babies from Eraserhead. A lot of those. I get a lot of stuffed Eraserhead babies.
Okay.
A lot of those. And yeah, that's the weirdest. But usually, because I didn't do, I don't know. Usually they bring posters and, but I'm selling autographs there. I sell autographs, and I also, because I've been sewing half my life, I make tote bags with pictures from all the shows I've done. Little House on the Prairie, Tremors. So they get a bag that's 14 by 14 inches with big 27-inch handles. And it's got a picture from the TV show or the movie or whatever it is. And I sell those online. And I always include a picture with it. But yeah, I get emails every day ordering something, and I work every day. I this morning, I got up this morning after sleeping 11 hours getting back from this long trip, and I made a bag for this fan who wanted a Little House on the Prairie bag. I made it, drove it to the post office, and shipped it off.
How much to do one of these? I'd love to order one.
It's $50 and it costs $10 to ship. So it's $60 a bag.
Mm-hmm.
You have to say what you want it from, Tremors or Little House or.
For me, I think it's Eraserhead.
Eraserhead, yeah.
Yeah. Do you do PayPal?
You.
You know what? I think I'll make an order. I think that'd be great. The tote bag thing. What a wonderful idea. I would love that.
Mary and the Baby.
Why not?
Mostly what I have from Eraserhead is Mary X and Henry. A lot of Mary X and Henry. I've got those. David Lynch did not want me to promote pictures of the baby, but I think I have one of Mary feeding the baby. And
okay.
Mainly it's Henry and Mary when he first comes to her house and they're meeting at the door. So I've got that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But David's being very stingy with the baby.
I'll take whatever one you're willing to send. I'm not fussy. I think this would be wonderful. Yeah, I would gladly send you a PayPal for something like that. Yeah, I love the tote bag idea.
Get a tote bag, or you can get a pillowcase or a 14 by 14 inch pillow. So you could,
Yeah, but my cat will make it all hairy.
Your cat, and I'll make a tote bag out of your cat.
Yeah, Kitty's avoiding me right now because anytime he gets near me, I stick him on camera. But yeah, I would gladly order an Eraserhead autograph of you from that movie. Absolutely.
Yeah, just send me an email and we'll work it out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was going to ask too, one final thing is I don't watch a lot of television, since getting on my own here, I watch movies, but out of your television, you mentioned Little House on the Prairie and the Waltons. What are other television shows you're involved with that just stand out to you as a great experience?
God, I did so many. I love being on Bonanza because I
Okay.
years, and so I had a nice show. Nice. I did two different Bonanzas. I did two different characters on Bonanza, and then I did three different parts on Gunsmoke. I
Mm-hmm.
love I love doing the Western. Those were, to me, fun because I love the costumes and the tradition, and you know all of that. Kind of grew up with that stuff on the farm. Um, Gosh, I don't know. Go on TV and look up everything I've done and take your pick.
Oh my goodness. I got your IMDb up here too. So oh my goodness. And you mentioned My Three Sons. Let me see. What else would stand out to me?
Center, FBI, and
I see some stuff I definitely recognize. I know you, of course, Twin Peaks, Matlock I'm familiar with, definitely, and Hawaii Five-O.
I broke my kneecap on that show. I was running behind I played a drug addict and the camera car in the night in Honolulu, and I tripped, fell, and then I got up and I kept running. This camera car was still going. I run up, caught up with it, and then they said they couldn't use the shot because too many people on the sidewalk were looking at us shooting. So they wanted to take me over to another street and reshoot that. And I woke up in the morning hotel and my knee was like, looked like a pin. It was, I broke my kneecap and it was huge. So they had me go over to the hospital, which was next door to the hotel. And they determined that I had broken my kneecap. They put me in a cast from my ankle to my hip. And I still on Hawaii. So now I had blonde hair, so they had to find a double for to shoot anything going away from the camera. And they did all my scenes or from the waist up. So it was pretty hard.
I remember that show growing up, especially the theme song, Yep. I got a lot of memories from 70s and 80s television.
But he was a complete jerk. He wouldn't shoot a scene if the wind was blowing his hair the wrong way. I'm serious.
Who was this again?
Jack Lord.
Oh, Jack Lord.
That was
the
Hawaii Five-O that's now the original.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, that's what I grew up with.
That was in the 60s. And he wouldn't shoot a scene if the wind was blowing his hair the wrong way.
That makes no sense.
In Hawaii?
Yeah. Well, luckily most of your film experience have been positive, and even you were a trooper and went in there and still continued to shoot. And he's worried about his hair.
I've got a broken leg and his hair is blowing the wrong way.
Yeah. I say you're the winner on that one.
Hey.
Well, you know what? It was so wonderful having you come on here tonight and celebrate 40. What do you think? 45 years, this movie, huh?
That's pretty amazing. And that's also 45 years since I started working on Little House on the Prairie.
Mm-hmm.
Both at the same time.
Yeah. I can still see you.
And
I can still see you. You're fine. Yep, there you go. But I was gonna say I'm definitely going to order the tote bag with the picture of you from Eraserhead. I'm gonna do that. I think that's such a great idea. You know, I'd love to see you get to one of the cons here in Canada. I generally do Horrorama in Toronto and Frightmare in the Falls, Niagara Falls.
Well, all they have to do is pay all my expenses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm talking about even getting from home to the airport to wherever I'm going, and getting from the airport there to the hotel, and pay for all expenses.
Mm-hmm.
That's my bottom line. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's me to make money.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I just started doing the cons 5 years ago, and I had so much fun. If it hadn't have been for a Canadian actress inviting me, it was my first time on a plane, first time traveling outside New Brunswick. It was an amazing experience that I like to do every year. So
Hope you can do it so we can meet in person.
I would love to, yes. But I am going to order that though. I think that's a great idea, you know, and I'll do an unboxing video where I do a video where I show it off there, and I'll send that to you. Yeah, so do you have any charities that you want to plug and promote on here?
Nothing that would do any good. I support a local hospital here, the Queen of the Valley Hospital, and that's where I wrote a book, by the way,
Okay.
Hollywood Hills, and I still sell that, and I give 15% of the sales of that to the hospital.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I work in a hospital now, so yeah.
I support the recovery program after someone has been through surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, whatever it is. I support a program that is aftercare, so that they follow up after they're done with all their horrible stuff, get them back on their feet.
Yeah.
I hope, because mine didn't when I had cancer, but oh, light just went on again. I had cancer. They didn't have such a program, but when I moved to Napa here where I live, they have a fabulous program that helps patients for 6 weeks after their, program, after their surgery and stuff. So I support that.
Okay. And please plug your website so that people can order these tote bags.
Website.
Oh, just contact you, huh?
Lottie Banks at yahoo.com.
Okay. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to do. I want to thank you for your patience, because I know I was supposed to schedule you last week, and I ended up having to reschedule 3 interviews because I'm in training at the hospital, cleaning, and I don't want to say no to them because, then they probably got to call me though.
Very important job, especially now with COVID.
Oh, I've seen it. Yep. But I'm really glad that we were able to do this, and that you were patient with me, and I'm glad you had a wonderful trip. That 11-hour sleep must have been very, very refreshing for you.
Another one tonight.
You know what? I don't blame you. I got tomorrow off, and I'm probably going to sleep most of it anyway, so, Now my cat, huh?
Your interest in whatever you want me to support, I will.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, my cat likes to jump up on my bed, and he goes around to my face and he'll gawk in my face, and I'm like, Skittles, your uptime and my uptime are very, very different things.
Well, I have a little 5-pound teacup Maltese who is on the bed with my husband already. But she's 12 years old and she's my girl.
There you go. There you go. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for allowing me the honor of interviewing you and celebrating Eraserhead and your other film projects as well. I'm going to make that order, and I would just before I let you go, I would love it if you did a plug for my show.
And I don't know what it's called.
Just state your name. And if you want to throw in that we're celebrating the 45th anniversary of Eraserhead, you can. And my name is Greg Gilbert. My show is called Python's Paradise.
Paradise. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to watch Python's Paradise with Greg Gilbert. I just did an interview with him and it was really fun. He pulled information out of me I didn't know I had. So have fun. Tune him in. Greg Gilbert, Python's Paradise.
Yes, folks. We are here with the lovely Charlotte Stewart celebrating Eraserhead's 45th anniversary. And yes, I'm going to get one of those tote bags with a picture. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. You know what? It was wonderful. Thank you so much for the honor. I appreciate your patience, and you have fun with that 11-hour sleep. I'm probably going to do that too.
Good. Allow yourself, okay?
Absolutely. God bless you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.